No matter where you go, remember the road that will lead you. No matter where you go, remember the road that will lead you. That will lead you. That will lead you. No matter where you go, remember the road that will lead you. No matter where you go, remember the road that will lead you. That will lead you.
Going it back one more time.
Greetings, family. Share the show.
Check in, tune in. African in Business, Soundbytes International Radio.
Let's do it.
Oh, yeah.
No matter where you go, remember the road that will lead you. That will lead you. That will lead you.
Hey, listen, brother Rick, thank you for sharing.
Thanks.
Remember the road that will lead you. Master KG, 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 Master KG.
Hey. Give thanks.
No matter where you go.
Remember the road that will lead you.
Yes. Remember the road that leads you home. This is Soundbytes International presents African in Business. This is our special series that we want to dedicate some time to all our Africans in business across the diaspora that are providing a space for Africans to be in business and to provide business to Africans the world over, and to create an understanding of the lucrative power and the economic power that we do have within our communities, we can be for us, by us, right? And build an economic future that's strong, a stronghold for tomorrow. So, of course, this is Sarah Nefra. This is
Nefra to my IT Ra.
Yes. Some peace and blessings to you all. And of course, broadcasting live right now on our Facebook at our Soundbytes International. So make sure you follow that. Soundbytes INTL Radio is the @ for that URL. We're also on our YouTube, Soundbytes International Radio, and broadcasting live on Twitter via Periscope, Soundbytes INTL on Twitter. Today we have a special guest. We met up with this brother. What's been like a month?
Last month? Yeah,
2 months ago. So here in the Newark community, just providing a cultivating a space that we have been used to, but it very much exists. And we should be used to, right? It's a conversation that's been had in the economic, the ecosystems landscape, looking at climate change, things of that nature, and looking at the impact of our furry little friends, sometimes these things, but they actually provide a very powerful resource to our living experience. But we'll let him talk about it more to give better insight. So we're going to bring our brother Marcellis on. Marcellis Counts of Apiary in the Sky.
Give thanks.
Live and direct. Peace and blessings, brother Marcellis. How you doing?
I'm well. Thank you.
It's a blessing to have you on, brother. So of course, we want to get the people in tune with what you got going on. So just give us this spiel around, who you are, what made you want to get into this arena of cultivation, and why is it so important to do the work that you do with the bees, and why do bees matter? For those that don't understand it, right, and should walk away with something tangible around a different outlook at bees. Can you give us the story around that?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, most certainly. So y'all gave me a lovely introduction. I just want to thank y'all again for allowing me
brother.
Great grace the show and be able to share energy with y'all and get the word out about some of the things that we're trying to make happen in the city.
For sure.
I can talk about it from so many different angles. I was telling y'all that I just ran into a family member and just kind of got into it with them, and they're asking me, why bees, why Newark? Every time I see you on social media, you're out in the garden somewhere, you're outside, and there's so many things that I think of, but the number one I think is probably to talk about. I know probably everybody's probably COVID out, but that was a big factor.
Right.
I think it's something that kind of connects all of us now. Everyone kind of having to take that pause, breathe, making more time for ourselves, and prioritizing what's important for us. Our health, safety. Our spaces. During that time when we were kind of regulated to our homes. Of course, having to go out, get air every now and then, and get a little bit of sun. I look around our city, and especially when there's less people, you really can hone in on a lot of the litter. Our parks are filled with graffiti and trash. A lot of our spaces are just doesn't seem like that they're quite made for us, and I really noticed that during that time. So I mean, it really just showed me how necessary it was to really invest in the actual landscape of Newark, of making it a more pleasant place, a more habitable place for us to be, and want to be. I know y'all probably noticed a lot of the development, construction happening all over the city amidst all the turmoil and things that are happening, and it's nice to see Newark changing, especially for the better. But it's hard we're not having equitable conversations about who it's changing for, and how those changes are going to go on to affect not only the landscape but the residents. So that's a lot that has nothing to do with bees, but bees would be a great way to kind of like usher in that conversation. So
right.
Met up with y'all at the Lincoln Park Garden. I'm all over the city with my good brother Bilal over at Jenna on Grafton.
Shout out to Bilal and Jen on Grafton.
Yep. So we got some beautiful people all over the city doing amazing work as far as, just trying to create safe spaces, trying to, share information, share food, share all these important things. And the way that I look at systems is how can we, meet people where they're at, and then how can we step further and build and improve on work. So I've seen from a lot of our spaces how vital not only to
Hold on, but I don't know if you're breaking up a little bit. I want to just run it back just a little bit.
Say it again.
And we want to run it back just a little bit. I think you were breaking up just a little bit.
Okay.
Yeah, maybe like 20 seconds back.
Okay. 20 seconds. I guess that's right when I started.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. Yep.
Okay. So just going back to actually start seeing all the important work all the gardeners are doing around the city. I wanted to see how I could, help, encourage, and support that work, but then also carve out a niche for myself, where it's like, where can we add value, ongoingly. So just seeing the immense need of our beekeepers, not just, of just having beekeepers, but also Black beekeepers.
Yeah.
When we look at a lot of about farmers and about who these people are, and we look at the history of our country, Black people being, very skilled agriculturalists, and over time, us just being squeezed. They take our land. Excuse me. Let me not use generalizations like they take our land, but many different groups, government who may have you systemically. We've been, robbed of land. We've been robbed of resources. Right. Robbed of a lot of things that have interfered with us living our most productive and healthy lives. So I look like
absolutely
getting into beekeeping and a lot of these and activating these urban spaces as a way of an important form of resistance. I feel like existing, and not just existing, but living, living your best life is the greatest form of resistance. I'm sure that's a quote. Somebody said that somewhere down the line. But
sure.
Yeah, so I think that is a big part of that.
For sure. And what are the aspects of the beekeeping that's like, that is so important, like compared to like, the typical agricultural like things like, we're not just talking about planting, herbs and planting potatoes, like, planting eggplants, like what we doing out there. But what particularly had you drawn to the bees, and why like what's the importance of bees that people don't know about? Because they really are important.
Yeah, most certainly. So I think that what drew me to the bees, I guess, when I just started doing the research, it was like all roads are just pointing to like this needs to be in Newark, and this needs to be like, a bigger thing. When I talk to people, it goes one of two ways. That people are really excited because they have some type of reference for bees, and they know how vital they are to our ecosystems, to our crop production, to our medicines, and they're very excited and welcoming to the idea. Or we have many people, which tend to be the majority, who know nothing about beekeeping and are actually, they're always surprised. I'm like, wow, I didn't know that they had all these benefits, and you can do all these things with bee pollen, or beeswax or propolis. You know, it's another byproduct that's not commonly talked about, but it's used in toothpastes and all different types of things like that. So just seeing how, especially in Newark, living in the food desert, and seeing how, you know, like if we were to go to Whole Foods, or if we're able to travel out of Newark, you'll see these big honey collections where like they have the manukas and all different varieties and stuff like that. And you see how important it is to our diets, and how here, you know, you're not getting that at the bodega or the convenience stores. And if you are, you're not getting the most nutrient rich, you know, authentic organic product. So me bringing it here is a big part of, you know, addressing the overall context of our health and showing people, you know, I want to be able to most certainly sell it. But I mean, of course, if I'm doing a pop-up shop, especially like maybe like in my section in Newark in the South Ward, I want to be giving out free samples. I want to be getting people excited about their health, excited about this little sweet treat that goes such a long way. So,
Absolutely. And what would you say some like what are bees facing right now? Because I know we've heard about endangered, you know, them becoming endangered, what have you. What are they facing right now that, you know, we should be more cognizant about, and like, you know, how we can like get involved in supporting, you know, the preservation of bees?
That's a great question. Great question. So what most people know as the collapsed colony disorder or disease was something that really decimated bee populations all over the United States. Bees actually deal with a lot of diseases like foul brood or like chalk brood, stone brood. There's a number of different diseases that are brought on by parasites and stuff like that. Of course, there's us, the biggest disease on the planet. You know what I'm saying? So get trapped in our garages or these little crevices and places, and instead of, you know, having humane practices or protocols to be able to remove them, most commonly we would just kill them, you know what I'm saying, to remove them from places where they're unwanted in pest control. So where we're able to come in, hopefully that's another branch of the business that I'd like to, you know, invest in, which is actually, I hate to call it pest control, but that's what we know as pest control, which is, you know, finding a safe way to remove not only bees, but, you know, I've even wanted to carve out room for, you know, other living organisms like our wasps and hornets. You know, some of our pests, you know, being able to relocate them the best way that is safe for them, but also make sure that they're not causing problems for people who might be allergic, and that could be a real hazard.
Gotcha.
Well, I know that, you know, people understand bees. They understand bees make honey, et cetera, et cetera. I'm not sure that they get the whole concept that bees have a mechanism that allows them to pollinate the plants, that moves the seeding process, that activates the progression of the plant development. So like taking it back down to that small of a concept for people to really understand that bees have a function in our food intake. Because of the GMOs, they've started to create synthetic vitamins. They made up all of these things to accommodate the reduction in the bee population, which is the production of the agriculture, because there's not as much movement and migration. And then, like you said, I have done some research to find out that the parasites are causing the bees, some of them, to lose their way home, like literally. Like they leave the colony and they go out and they just scatter. Instead of going back, doing the function that they have, bringing the pollen back to the colony, they get like dementia and get delirious. So, you know, you can try to like expand on that a little bit, like so people can get like a really vivid concept of, you know, our bee friends. They are our friends.
Well, you know, to have that conversation, I think the best way is because, you know, instead of looking, I think sometimes the mistake we make is looking at animals like outside of, you know, us, like what affects us doesn't affect them and vice versa, you know, but when you start looking at the world like this place where we all live and exist together, then you start to look at, you know, what our problems are similar. So number one is when we talked about some of the diseases that they fight, another disease that they fight is also climate change, which is something that we are affected by, which is, you know, intense weather, you know, unpredictable weather. You know, we've had these cold spells, and now this week it's great. You know what I'm saying? Now we want to be outside again, and the next week we'll probably be back to the rain or back to the cold, you know. So they have to also, you know, engage, you know, with the changes in the weather and stuff like that as well. And as you mentioned, with like them getting dementia and or just, you know, being disoriented, you know, getting cut off from the hive and stuff like that. Now, when we're talking about the city environment, there's all different challenges that kind of, you know, amplify and exacerbate that. So think about some problems I think about in Newark. So maybe being too close together, for example, sometimes not having the adequate space to, you know, feel safe, to, you know, really, you know, maintain, you know, your surroundings, you know. With bees, a part of how they get diseases is from, you know, too close proximity. So that's something we do, is make sure our beehives are at least 5, I think it's somewhere between 1 mile to 5 miles apart from each other, and not just festering them and putting them all in like one spaces. Sometimes commercial, they will kind of do that are kind of counter to. But when we're just conscious about things like spacing, things about, you know, what's in their surrounding areas. So for me personally, anywhere with bees would be top of, you know, because that affects what you eat, what you put in, what you get out. So I know, you know, addressing the litter and some of the things that, you know, like the things that we see in the street is the same thing our bees are seeing when they're flying out and going and collecting.
It's
so
huge to
also
them.
planting, you know, planting more flowers too.
For sure.
So the flowers are good for, because we've been trying to encourage everyone to get into urban gardening, since a lot of us are living in urban communities. And like you were talking about in the very beginning about our land, for whatever reason, you know, for many reasons, we don't have access to our agricultural lifestyles under the guise of, at that time, industrial revolution, industrializing production, factory work, etc. So that took away, and then we moved into these huge, you know, factories, and then we moved into the technological. So then we wanted to condense, because allegedly we were supposed to be reducing pollution. So we wanted to stop with the factories, allegedly. So we went through this progression, this labor progression that also affected the ground level of integrating the concept of harmony of man and land, man and the earth, that conversation. And now we have people who stand in front of us and say that global warming and climate change is an illusion. It's fake.
Yeah,
it's fake. So we're dealing with that, and we're looking at bees because they are responsible for something like 70% of our agriculture. Moving, you know, for us to get real substance food, not the GMO stuff that they created, to get the real substance things. So we're trying to force, well, not force, but like kind of gradually encourage people to move into urban gardening. So you said they can plant more flowers. What types of flowers do bees like that are accessible, like here in Newark, that we can actually plant more or put them on our windowsill? You know,
that's a good question. Like, which plants like encourage,
which
like
plant
the
encourages
best growth for
that makes them happy, you know, kind of thing, right?
Plants.
That's good. You put the beekeeper on the spot. I'm like, oh man, which flowers?
No. I don't know. What do you think?
Well, I know number one that I had a lot of fun with, like this spring and summer, learning and spending time with, was herbs. So bees love herbs. I got plenty of photos of bees like in the garden around our basils, our thymes, our oreganos, and these herbs are not only to them like a part of their diet, like where they go and collect nectar and stuff like that, but they actually also are an important part of their actual like medicine. So some treatments that are used to fight some of those parasites and diseases I spoke about are synthesized from a lot of those herbs, thyme being one of the main ingredients in their treatment. So herbs is a number one. That's something that I look forward to, a project that I've been thinking about, helping people start their at-home herb gardens. So I feel like herbs are an easy way for people to get into garden, like you said, just because they grow pretty easily. So that, and sometimes they can be invasive if you let them go too much, and they go such a long way. Even if you just string them up, turn them into tea and dry them out, or if you kind of, you know, sometimes like my mom, she loves like just placing some of the herbs. Like she loves the basil around the house, like the holy basil, because it just smells so fragrant and just lighten the mood in the house. So there's no reason for people not to want to. But also some of the other flowers, sunflowers, of course. We have our they're pretty. They pretty much go around to a little bit of everything. Like I know, like they're marigolds and just like there's so many different flowers. I don't know the name of them all, but you know.
No,
you're hitting them.
Awesome. We're appreciating this education, this education. And so we try to make it as interactive as possible. So people don't realize that even in this urban community, you pass marigolds all the time on the street. You just don't even know that that's a marigold. You just think, oh, that's the little flowers that just pop up and just grow, because a baby bee carried some pollen all over the place. Sometimes the wind does it too, but bees probably carried it and dropped some along the way, the seeds, and then out of the ground, you see a little bunch of them just growing there by themselves. So they travel, right? And I know that a lot of plants, so the beautiful thing about the ecosystem and the nature, et cetera, is that so a lot of plants we found this year, since we've been growing in our urban garden, a lot of plants flower at a point. So after the divine essence of the cycle of life, the plant gives us the fruit, or it gives us its herb, and then the plant will flower to produce seed, and it will flower to feed the bees the nectar, to give them the pollen that they need to produce their nectar. So everything is like in a sweet cycle. So even our eggplant plant, it grew these little flowers first. And then from those little flowers, once the bee came and pollinated, it expanded. The eggplant grew there. But then we also see, like when our basil got finished producing the leaves, it started flowering. Our lettuce did the same thing. So it's just it's really interesting, and it's just when we met you, we was like, oh my God, we just love this guy.
For sure, like
he's incredible.
We can tell the intent is there, and like the passion and the trust in the process is there, and it's like and I think like we say this, we bring people like yourself on the show to see how not only people can be aware of what you do, but also like how people can be in support of expanding. Like, we would love for you to share like where would you say you're at right now with apiary in the sky, as far as like, you know, how many bees do you have, or is there any way that people can support the expansion of it, or like can give us some information around like how people can be more involved in expand the support of the growth of apiary in the sky and what you're looking to do.
Yeah, most certainly. So in the inception of my business, so in the last 6 months, launching during, you know, somewhat of a tumultuous time of COVID, trying to be sensitive in those first couple of months. There's a lot of stuff going on. So people didn't need to be, you know, kind of beaten down by, you know, like buy this and, you know, volunteer do this, you know. So now in these most recent months, it's been a little bit, you know, where the first time I met y'all at that Agro Festival, at the garden tour week, you know, so during that time really started to really activate more and find ways that people can plug in, because people are really interested, you know, bringing this to this urban space. You know, the people want to interact with the bees and interact with the business. Where we're at now, do a lot of volunteering, so you know, use a lot of the momentum to put some of the others in the city who, you know, we face, you know, just like some of the bees, how they are challenged by climate change and disease, other things like that. We also have a lot of challenges in these garden spaces, sometimes having the resources, having the volunteers present, and sometimes having the energy and you know, the will to keep writing sometimes, and because it's not always easy when you're not getting, when you don't feel supported, and when like you want to do this valuable thing, and sometimes the people around you, you know, everyone hasn't just kind of awakened to, you know, the value and power of what you're trying to achieve. So sometimes it could be an uphill battle. So I like to be there to just kind of be there for, you know, this community, kind of find ways to support each other. So that being said, networking, I love connecting people, using the business as a platform to connect people, especially with the business. People need things or have different, and able to address, like I said, volunteering. Tomorrow and Friday, we're going to be hosting 2 different volunteer days at our South Ward location. It's 42 Elizabeth Avenue. and we're going to be doing pretty simple stuff, but just arranging the garden and getting it ready for this next growing season.
You said
Other
42
than that,
Elizabeth Avenue?
yeah, 42 Elizabeth Avenue, Newark, New Jersey, and in the South Ward. It's on the corner of Elizabeth Avenue and Clinton Avenue. So yeah,
and that's on what time?
That is going to be from 9 to 12. So we got both Thursday and Friday. I know some people are busy with work, so me personally, I'm very laid back. I like finding people who believe in what they're doing, and it's like, give me what you got. If all you can do is share, then please share. If you can pull up, I love to see you, love to work with you. And that's always good. But whatever people are willing to give, I'm always willing to be flexible, because especially again with our current circumstances and just where the world's at right now, you got to be sensitive to people's at-home situations, what they might be going through. So like I said, whatever people are willing to give, I'm always grateful.
Absolutely. And that's greatly appreciated. Where can you let people know where people can possibly donate if they want to do it virtually, or where they can learn more about what you're doing and what Apiary in the Sky is doing?
Most certainly. So my Instagram is probably the most active. I make all my graphics and stuff like that. So Instagram, I'm always posting to the story, responding to DMs. So I'm pretty accessible. People can always reach me through there. But then we just launched the website, which is another platform where you can always go to get more information. We're going to be updating that with more consistent updates. And finally, we have Facebook as well. We're going to be expanding to Twitter and YouTube. And with more time, more hands on deck, we're gonna try and reach people wherever they looking for us.
Absolutely.
Well, we know that the business model has drastically changed as we seek to shift, as we are coming in as a community of people, which is important. So we're here with African in Business, and we understand that there's a uniqueness to the way that African people conduct business as a result of our so we're growing business, and we're also in a healing curve as a community of people in and of itself. So as you stated, us seeing the value in our own community and the things that we produce. Remember, we are the agriculturalists, right? We have fed and we have maintained and we've developed health care, wellness care through our historic line. The herbalist has always been a thing for our community. So we've gotten into this 185 to 100-year gap of depending on outside of our own hands to produce our food and to take care of our community. It's a concept that we have to now start to restructure our minds as to how we relate to our own hands and our own ability to create our own self-efficacy and wellness. And food is the place that it definitely one of the main places that it starts. Right after you get into your own personal concept, your mental, your spiritual, your emotional, then next comes your food, right? Yeah. So it's a journey, and we're on Facebook, we're on Instagram. Some corporations have it where they can bring in big guys, IT guys to restructure their whole, situation. We are now, some of our small businesses, our growing medium-sized businesses are using the platforms that are available to us, right? While we build up our income streams and we do our networking and, we propose our grant proposals and we do our angel investments and things like that while we're still in that growing space. So we are using Instagram heavily. We are on Facebook heavy. We are using live processes heavy. We're on Zoom heavy. So don't make any mistake about it. We definitely in your face all over the place. So embrace the family, support our brother, Marcellis Counts.
Peace, Sister Dotson. We see you. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for sharing. Appreciate you.
Thank you.
Yeah. Well, go ahead.
And our brother, and listen, our brother is Newark resident out here in these streets.
New Jersey,
Newark strong out here.
Newark is for artists and for growers.
Artists, growers, and revolutionaries is out here on these Newark streets. Know this. Listen. It's not a game. So we're very, very happy to have our brother Marcellis here and to share with us the African brother, young brother beekeeping out here making honey, y'all. Okay, has his own branded honey. Like it's a growing concept, and I'm just so proud of you, and I'm just so proud of your intention and your energy and sticking with this, because this is another field. Like this is not something that's an outfit. It's not the basketball player. This is not music. This is not rapping.
Yeah.
This is another space.
And it's so important to be as niche as that, because you know, where people may not think too much on a general basis, right? As we talked about, like people don't even know that much about the impact of bees. It's like you're in a critical space of literally changing the climate and like changing the earth, the ecosystem and the earth's landscape, being a contributor to that. And that's such a powerful space to be in. And like Nefra said, like we you know, we just met, but we're proud of what you just undertaking to do. To jump in that space, and we really want to encourage those that are watching, those that are around you, those that are around us, as much as possible, to support efforts like yours, and to really, like, you know, support the flourishing of what you're doing. So we are very much your cheerleaders and standing with you on doing this work. And we really look forward to the continued growth of it, brother.
Give thanks. And we definitely here as a support. We source in you powerful energy, abundant energy, and that the ancestors wrap you and hold you and also support and lift this effort, because this is so necessary for our community. And it's so necessary that you as a utility be able to do this work, because you have the love and passion for it, and you have the love and passion for the people.
Absolutely.
So for that, we increase you 1,000-fold, 10,000-fold. Give thanks.
Absolutely.
Thank you. And this is having space for these dialogues to happen. I can tell you what that. I don't want to think, because it's, you know, being self-starters, entrepreneurs. You know, sometimes, you know, you're always being tested and challenged. Yeah. But I've come to the realization that there are no failures in the work that we do. You know, even if we are just able to provide for ourselves and the people around us, and are able to hone our skills and invest in ourselves, then I mean, you really never lose. So hopefully I'm able to inspire people like y'all inspired me, and like how I know y'all are inspiring people where you're at, and for the people that y'all connecting with. And you know, that's all we can hope for. I really look up to, you know, I get corny. I try not to talk about bees too much, but when I really watch them all work together and learn like about the science about them, how they like, it's
different, man.
Produce, you know, for them to work together, for them to, you know, realize that their greater purpose, you know, which is to work in harmony with us. So hopefully, you know, we can imitate them and work together and make beautiful things happen.
Listen, maybe we be worthy to do so, man. That's nature at work. So we can imitate that in a grand scale. We'd be better off and not out here biting our fingers about elections. But that's another story.
Whole other conversation. We'll be talking
about here for that today. But you know, we just believe let's pay close attention to nature, and nature will let us know what we need to do. Again, we have up there, you see on the screen, 42. You said 42 Elizabeth Avenue in Newark, New Jersey. You said 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. Tomorrow and Friday, Thursday and Friday, volunteer opportunities with Apiary in the Sky, and being of support to what the brother is doing. Brother Marcellis Counts, founder and executive director of Apiary in the Sky. So whether you're in Newark, or if you feel like you want to take a trek out and come be a support, please do so and hit up the brother and let him know what's up. And also follow him on the Instagrams. Oh, and if you see the website scrolling at the bottom, visit apiaryinthesky.org. And you can learn some more. You can donate. You can and really, you know, see how we can stand for what this brother's doing. All right, that's what we about. It's a family in the village working. So let's do it. All right,
we all we got.
Absolutely. Any last thoughts you want to share, brother, before we close out?
Hey, I mean, with everything going on, I think it's just an important time for people to realize what's important to them. You know, I spent this whole time, I'm trying to be more forward about, you know, always make sure I make room for God, to always thank him, you know, for just being able to be here, to be able to connect and be able to feel, you know, be a part of the arrangement. And then, of course, you know, my family, you know, is so important, and family being people like you all, you know, people who, you know, make you feel good, and people who are there to support you, pick you up when you're down, stuff like that. So right now, I think that's what's most important for us to be prioritizing, is, you know, being alive for the things that matter.
For sure.
Give thanks.
We thank you again, brother, for being on today's episode. We glad to finally have you on. And again, we wish you continued success. You know, but you know, we're gonna be out there with you. So it's all good.
Out there riding with you.
And we hope our viewership can be out there with you as well, brother. All right. So stay up.
Peace, power, and blessings. Thank you so much.
One love, brother. Thank you.
All right, y'all. As always.
Absolutely. And thank y'all for another episode of Apiary in the Sky.
Another episode of the Soundbytes with our brother, Marcellis Counts of Apiary in the Sky. Yes. This is an awesome brother, man. It's just a total awesome brother. Yes. Totally chill, totally laid back, but the brother is at the top of his game.
Doing it big.
Like, he's shooting for another concept of reality for what is commonly known as entrepreneurship and agriculture. Absolutely. He's merging that gap of community concept of building, as well as education, as well as the gardening and agricultural aspect of it. And also being the producer of his own branded honey that's coming from his own bees. So that's a whole nother conversation. So that's like, he didn't really go all in because, he's just that kind of chill and humble brother. So I really, respect that about him. But he's definitely out here doing big things out here in Newark. And he's growing his business, and it's really important that we get behind our people in their efforts to make headway in certain spaces. So we have so much love for the brother Marcellis and Apiary in the Sky. So please, family, check out www.apiaryininthesky.org
at the bottom there. Check that out.
To find out more about the brothers, what he has going on. And he has tons of events where he does education, and he also has a fundraiser going to do some angel investment to grow the business, because it always takes some capital, to
take some change to make some change.
To make some change, family. So go ahead and put your coin over there and help that brother out and support that brother
and get you some honey.
And get you, and also, you can order some honey.
Okay, get some honey.
And he does the events, so you can get that honey, at the market, etc., etc. So please go on apiaryininthesky.org and find out about African beekeeper out here in Newark. Peace and blessings, family.
One love, family. Peace and blessings. Enjoy your evening. Of course, join us on Monday, 9:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for another edition of Soundbytes International Radio. Yeah. Black Conscious Acclaim.
The world is the aim.
Absolutely, and we'll be seeing what's going on with the goings on in this country. Hopefully by then, but things might be looking a little good for your boy, but we'll see. We'll see what's up.
We'll see, family.
All right, so
Stay fortified.
Stay fortified all day, family. One love. Thank y'all for joining. Thank you, Brother Enrique. Thank you, Sister Dotson. We appreciate y'all for joining in. And once again, thank you to Brother Marcellis Counts, Apiary in the Sky, for joining us today's show. Y'all have a great evening. One love.
Peace and blessings.